There are 6 candidates in various recall primary elections next month who will be running as Democrats, but the Democratic Party of Wisconsin says they're fake Democrats and should be thrown off the ballot. On Tuesday, attorney Jeremy Levinson explained why to the Government Accountability Board.
These folks filed under oath with the board a statement they represented the Democratic Party. Their nomination papers told folks walking out of Piggly Wiggly in their Senate districts that, hey, you support the recall? I'm a Democratic candidate to unseat the Republican incumbent. This is what the GAB's nomination form told members of the public. And if a member of the public decided that for themselves that they thought the Republican incumbent should be voted out of office, they may well have signed that paper to support the recall. And then in horror come to discover that not only were they swindled out of what they could do to support the Democratic recall candidate, their signature was co-opted for use in a Republican Party scheme, announced Republican Party scheme, to manipulate the elections for one purpose: to make it easier for the Republicans to win and keep their seats. None of this is my perspective. None of this is disputed, as staff correctly found. All of this is established fact because it was admitted in detail.
Mr. Levinson, yes. On that, in the materials you submitted, I don't recall seeing any affidavits of people who signed a nomination paper for one of the persons you're challenging, claiming to have been misled.
And there is no such affidavit, okay, Your Honor.
So what you were arguing a moment ago was hypothetically because of the wording of the document.
Well,
is that correct?
I think it's more than hypothetical because the board requires this statement to be on nomination papers. It does so for a reason. It does so to serve the purpose of notifying the public what the meaning of the paper is. And just like we presume the validity of all information on these papers, it must be presumed that the board's required language on that paper served the purpose for which it is required. You are correct. I cannot identify a particular injury that was actually caused.
Okay.
But what we all know is that the board's document was used to defraud. Whether there are specific instances where that purpose, whether this is attempted fraud or successful fraud on individuals, I can't tell you. What I can tell you is that document, that governmental document, that nomination paper, we can all agree was fraudulent.
The Republican Party has been open about the fact the 6 individuals are protest candidates. Attorney Joe Olson says that's what you get with an open primary system.
And we have an open primary in the state of Wisconsin because Bob LaFollette and the progressive wing of the Republican Party wanted to take over the Republican Party, and one of the ways they were able to achieve that was by creating the open primary system, where the party bosses were told, you no longer get to decide who's a Republican or a Democrat. Instead, we're going to let the people decide who gets to run as the candidate for the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. That's a pretty foundational premise of the entire primary system that we've been operating under in this state for over 100 years.
Olson also argued why this is not a case of election fraud.
It's more important to think about what those statements actually mean. Those aren't sworn under oath statements that say, I, Bob Smith or Joe Olson or anyone else, am a good and loyal Democrat. Those are statements that say, I seek to represent the Democratic Party in this primary election, and if I'm so lucky as to win, to appear on the ballot for the Democratic Party. Those are aspirational statements, not statement of present fact. And you simply can't have a fraudulent statement if it's not a statement of present fact. With regard to the nomination papers specifically, those are not the statements of the candidates at all. That nomination form says, I, the underside, request the name of the candidate be placed on the ballot as a candidate representing whichever party is listed on the statement. That's a statement of the individual signer. It's not a statement from the candidate to the signer as to who the candidate says I am. It's a statement from the signer to the Government Accountability Board that I, a qualified elector of the state of Wisconsin, want this person's name on the ballot, and I want it on the ballot representing this party. So for the argument to be made that the candidate is defrauding the signer with the nomination paper has it completely backwards as to what the nomination form actually does.
In the end, the GAB unanimously agreed with Republicans. All 6 candidates will appear on ballots on May 8th. For the McIver Institute, I'm Bill Osmolsky.